Hi guys, I'm back again, and underneath my previous video, not the previous one that I posted, but the previous one where I was, chatting face to face like this about consciousness, underneath that in the feed, there was the title of another video, Your Brain Hallucinates Your Conscious Reality. And I just went, oh yeah, really? That's a big statement. I would be, I'm not watching that video because that's not a title that appeals to me at all. I think it'd be very fair to say that, in my opinion, we overrate the brain and its capacities to a large extent. We overrate what it can do and what it is actually doing. And so, because I was into the whole consciousness thing earlier this week, and because I've been thinking about trying to talk about this in different ways, I just want to, put this out there again. That our conscious reality has very little to do with our brain, I think. So just to have, a different opinion, because why is there always such a huge emphasis on the brain, on the mind, on rationality? If not, because there is some form of an, I was going to say an agenda. Yes, I'm afraid that I will have to call that an agenda. And it's not that people have actually, I don't do conspiracy theories very well, because I tend to think that people's egos are not all that interested necessarily in collaboration in larger frameworks, which is what a lot of the conspiracy theories tend to, propose. But I do believe that there are ways in which society has been organized over the past several centuries, I think, where the emphasis has always been on recently, especially in the past 300-400 years or so, the emphasis has been on the mind, and at the detriment, very much at the detriment of, emotion, the body, and all sorts of other aspects of ourselves, our energies, the heritage that we carry around with us, and as many other aspects of us as you'd like to call up here. Our chakras and our third eye, whatever you like to see. And because there's such an emphasis on reason and on the mind, people tend to assume, like we always do with whatever it is that we're doing, we have this focus then on that what we are doing at that moment is the only reality. And I have battled with that aspect of myself for most of my life. Because, of course, there's always more to reality. Reality is like a colossal web of all sorts of things going on at the same time, most of which we are not aware of currently or at that present, the moment that you're looking at, because you don't need to be. Or because you haven't trained to be aware of that. And if you're a control freak like me, I think I'm quite a decent representative of many of us, always wanting to control everything and wanting to be aware of everything so that I can be aware of whatever is going to happen to me, and generally being a control person. Then the idea that actually 99 or 90-ish% of life is actually happening behind the scenes is unsettling, and then any kind of influence could come out of there if I start thinking about it in that way. And I don't normally, because I trust the universe, and that's of course very much a fundamental thought that, or a fundamental feeling that we should be working towards, or that I should personally. It's something that has been a great issue for me. At each turn of the road, it was always about trust. And the fact that I, trust myself and or my fellow human beings, I mean, exactly as far as I can see them, that doesn't really reflect on any trust I can have in the universe, okay? The universe, to me, is absolutely trustworthy and has always been so. And seeing how things have gone for me in the past years with all the interesting healing processes I've been going through, I think my trust was justified. I also think that if you trust the universe trusts you. There's a kind of it's like a contract or a deal that's made by your consciousness, our consciousness. The moment that we are willing to work, or to be open or to surrender to those types of vibrations, then that is the answer that we're going to get. So all these things are linked, like I've said 100 times already, I think. And to just focus on the mind and on, what science is saying. Science is interesting. Science is great. Mathematics and physics and all the rest of it, and astronomy. I mean, fabulous, okay? But it's not so very applicable most of the time to our daily lives, to what it is that we are doing. And to, which is why, to me, astrology is very important, because it's one way of talking my way into, having a connection with the world out there, with the cosmos, with the stars and the planets, and which all sounds very, very appealing, because it feels really good to be connected to whatever it is that I can be connected to. And the more we can connect on more levels, the more interesting our life gets. And if we want to manage that and to have some sense of control, I think, which is a question, because it depends on your personality, right? Whether you want to control any of this, or maybe just, be open, let it go, let it be. It's fine, because that's also a possibility. To me, not so much. I tend to always try to think about things, to get back to things, and to try and organize my thoughts again, and try to sort of find a way to connect the experiences with a certain approach to life, or a certain philosophy, or a certain way of thinking. So I suppose that trust has been way more fundamental to my approach, and also in a way that I had never really expressed before. And that's pretty interesting to me, to come to this conclusion that actually all this time I was working with this huge ingredient in my life. It was like 60% of all I was doing was trusting, and I didn't know it. I had no clue. So yeah, I think that's important. And one other thing that's important is time. I have not talked enough yet about time and what it does for us, that we are creatures in time, in a body that grows and develops, and that any time that we do something or develop an activity or develop a thought process or grow emotionally in whatever way that we are doing those things, okay? And it's in accordance with our nature, our deepest personal need, then of course there will be progress, right? Because we have a nature, we have, and our personality on the outside, like this is only the body. You see, this is only the result of a certain, combination of genetic patterns and all that type of stuff, and me glasses, from the shop. And okay, I could have picked different glasses, but then you would have seen a different, but the person behind, is still the same. I don't know who that is. I can probably serve us all best by saying I don't know who I am. Because if I do that, I have opened a doorway to a level of consciousness that I cannot access just like that, I have no control there. So if I say that I trust the universe, I can also say I trust that part of myself, that self out there, that I do not necessarily identify with. Because identifying with something requires me to know it, to have some form of control, I suppose. So I'm just doing another of those rambles. It turns out that this is what I do, or at least I feel the need to do this at this time. I talk to the camera about things that are sort of halfway to the surface of what I am aware of, really. I feel that there's so much that we can talk about that we haven't ever really agreed on. We haven't really, and people repeat themselves. We repeat the same information over and over, and it's presented as science. And how many times am I hoping to make an impression on that fellow YouTuber by posting a clever comment about something that they have never heard of before, or that they haven't seen, or that just, for some reason or other were never involved with that branch of things. And I just know it, so I can put in the link, and everybody will be impressed with what I know, because I'm all about that, always. But I'm not the only one doing that, and I don't think it really furthers the development of our understanding if we just continually repeat the same tired, old structures and thoughts. And yes, you have to agree on naming this and that and the other to some extent. And but where's our freedom? Where's how can we develop what we can become? How can we manifest what we can become? And it's time for all of us to be a bit more daring, I think. So another bucket full of maybe random thoughts. Maybe this is your thing. Then you're here for a reason. And maybe you maybe I'm unsettling to you. I'm not even sure I'm going to post this. Certainly not today, but maybe tomorrow. So thank you very much for watching, guys, if you're here. Maybe at this moment there's nobody out there. So thanks. Bye. Bye for now.